Hello, and once again, welcome back to my journey of beating every single PlayStation 2 game ever. Today, I'm finally conquering a game that I never managed to beat as a child, Shadow of the Colossus, a game about death, love, and badassery. Right off the bat, this game is beautiful. It has great cinematics, great music, and a great story. The game begins with a cutscene showing the main character, Wander, bringing the body of his girlfriend to a temple in a forbidden land in hopes to revive her. Once we arrive, a disembodied voice speaks from above. We explain to them why we're here, and they offer to help us under one condition. There are 16 idols in the temple that we need to destroy. In order to do that, we must defeat the colossi that each one represents. We are warned that the price we pay may be greater than expected, but we still go on to help our girlfriend. So, the goal of the game is to kill all 16 of the colossi, and these fights are probably not what you would expect. You are equipped with only a sword and a bow to take down these massive creatures. Unlike most fights in games, it isn't as simple as hitting the enemy to cause damage. Firstly, the colossi are, well, colossal. So, if you tried that, you would get destroyed. Secondly, you can only cause damage by attacking the weak spots. The weak spots are always up high, so you have to climb up the colossi in order to attack it. The thing I like most about these fights is that each of them is like a puzzle that you need to solve in order to win. The first fight is simple. You have to first climb on the back of its leg and attack a secondary weak spot that causes the colossi to kneel down. Then, while it's kneeling, you're able to climb all the way to its head where the weak spot is. For the most part, once you get to the weak spot, the fight is pretty much over. Sometimes it moves, but it's not that bad. Other than that, you just have to make sure you don't fall off. After each fight, these weird shadow tentacle things shoot out of the colossi and they enter your body. Then you get teleported back to the temple and the idol is destroyed. I really like these aspects of the game because you don't have to ride all the way back to the temple. It wouldn't really be a huge deal if you did have to go back yourself, but the ease of life is fantastic. It's clever to make warping back part of the story, otherwise it wouldn't make a lot of sense. While on this topic, I also want to talk about going to each fight. In the beginning, it's pretty straightforward where to go. You use your sword to point you in the right direction, and the first fights are closer and easy to find. However, some of the later fights I got lost trying to find. It gets less obvious where to go when you've been basically everywhere. I think it would have been better for it to either be more obvious or if there were 16 different areas. For me, the game is all about the fights, so I don't want to spend more than 5 minutes looking for the next one. I do appreciate the scenery and I understand that you have to actually go to the fights, but at the same time, I just want to kill the colossi. This brings me to my next point, that being the horse. A horse being the mode of transport makes total sense for this game and the setting, and it's a lot faster than walking. However, the mechanics and the controls of the horse could be better. Firstly, when turning the horse, it's very easy to overturn, causing you to go too far and making you go towards a cliff or an object. When it comes to trees and rocks, the horse always comes to a complete stop if you're heading right for it. Of course, the horse isn't going to run headfirst into a tree, but for the sake of the game, I think it would have been better if instead the horse would automatically turn around the object while maintaining speed. Again, for cliffs, the horse doesn't yeet itself to death, but the same point stands about it maintaining speed and turning away. Speaking of speed, it sometimes doesn't make sense. To build speed, you have to tap X. That's not the problem though. The problem is that the horse doesn't pick up speed while it's on stone. It makes sense not to get speed in the temple, but while galloping in an open field, why is the horse dropped down to the lowest speed just because it walked over stone? How does that make sense? The last thing about the horse is the inconsistency of getting on it. Triangle is used to get on and off the horse. Triangle is also the jump button. So half of the time when I was trying to get on the horse, I just jumped next to it a few times like an idiot. These things are minorly annoying, but there are a few fights where you need to use the horse and it can get very annoying very quickly when the horse doesn't cooperate while a massive creature is trying to attack you. Long story short, I don't like the horse. Okay, the horse rant is over. I apologize to any animal lovers. Back to the colossi, I love that they are unique from each other. There are land, sky, and even water creatures. The way you kill them is the same by getting to the weak spots and stabbing them, but the way you get to those weak spots are different on all of them. Some, you simply climb. Some, you perform a minor attack and cause them to stumble, and others, you use the environment to your advantage. They all stand out, and they're all fun. Other than one. There is a bull colossi that is a pain. The main issue with it is that it charges you, and if it hits you, it knocks you down. When it knocks you down, you stay down for a bit before getting up again. The problem is that it attacks too quickly for you to get up, so it can very easily smack you around and you can't do anything about it. Plus, I think this is one of the more confusing fights in terms of what to do. You have to climb on one of these fire stands and have the bull ram into it. Then a stick flies out of it. You then have to pick up that stick, light it in the fire, and use it to make the bull fall off the cliff to break its its armor. If I remember right, this is the only fight that requires you to interact with other objects, so I didn't even know how to use it. I understand that figuring out what to do is part of the game, but something about this fight doesn't sit right with me. Overall, my least favorite fight by far. Still, I enjoyed each fight. I mentioned that I never beat this game before despite playing it in the past. I don't think I made it past the first 4 or so fights. The main reason why is that it was my brother's game and he didn't like me using his stuff, so I could only really play it when he let me, which wasn't that often. Also, after making it the furthest I ever had before, my cousin was over and he wanted to play the game. For some reason, my brother had maxed out the amount of save files allowed at one time. I think he had saves at multiple points so he could go back and replay any fight he wanted. Not sure though. Regardless, when my cousin played, my brother told him he could overwrite my save file. He played that one time only, and I don't know if he even beat the first fight. So after that day, I never played the game again. My point is that I'm glad I finally replayed it so I was able to experience the whole game and every fight in it, because this game is awesome. Now, I want to move on to my favorite fight, the final boss. This fight is actually one of the easiest ones to figure out what to do, but it's also the most intense one. Before you even get to the Colossi, you come across a fragile bridge that you need to cross with your horse. At the end of the bridge, the horse kicks you off before falling into the ravine. This is supposed to be a sad scene, but as we've all learned, I don't care about that dumb horse anyways. Then, after you climb up the wall, it's storming and you see the biggest Colossi yet. It immediately starts shooting lightning at you and you have to get behind cover to get out of danger. Then, you have to go from cover to cover and slowly make your way to the Colossi. The whole scene of this fight is epic. The thought of this being the final fight to save your girlfriend, your horse companion is gone, and it's just you versus a 200-foot tall giant makes it super intense. Then, after climbing up its armor, jumping from one body part to the next, and finally getting to the top, you're able to slay the final beast, which I actually had to do twice because my original PS2 hardware crashed. The story here is great. After you destroy the last idol, a long cutscene plays that wraps it all up. Spoiler alert for anyone who wants to experience this for themselves, by the way. It turns out that those shadowy tentacle things entering my body were slowly taking over and were also connected to the mysterious voice in the temple. Iman and his men killed me, and instead of dying, Dorman takes control and transforms me into a giant shadow creature. Then, as Iman's men flee from Dorman, Iman causes a whirlwind to consume Dorman, once again trapping him inside the temple. As the men escape, the bridge collapses and isolates the land from the rest of the world for good. Mono, our girlfriend, wakes up and is greeted by our limping horse. The horse leads her to where the whirlwind originated, and they find a baby with horns. Then the credits roll. Platforming is one of my favorite elements in any game. I also enjoy puzzles and having to learn how to win or solve a problem. This game combines those elements along with epic fights and a good story, which makes me love this game. Other than the horse, the gameplay worked well. The difference between each Colossi kept the game from getting boring or repetitive. I really enjoyed the story. It started with a simple tale of love and bravery, but it ended with a twist that I certainly didn't see coming. And we still managed to save Mono. The game looks and sounds incredible, especially for coming out in 2005. Overall, I give it a 9 out of 10. I would highly recommend. Thank you all for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. What game should I play next? Let me know. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.